First thing I'll ask, a national risk assessment. In brief, what is this and what are we looking at?
A national risk assessment, essentially, it's, as the name indicates, an assessment of the risks to which Gibraltar is exposed to. Historically, NRAs have focused on money laundering and terrorist financing risks. We have a few iterations of the NRA published in Gibraltar, and each one has expanded on that scope. For example, the one published today expands significantly from the last one. It includes other areas such as sanctions risks and tax-related risks as well.
So as you said, you referenced the last one. This is not something that happens every 6 months or every year. The last one was 2020, I believe?
2020, yes.
You assume 2025, the treaty, cross-border relations are changing. Is that why this one has been done at this time? Is that what the timing is about?
Not exactly, although there will be changes due to that. It's a statutory provision that Gibraltar needs to carry out an AML CFT, one specifically, every 4 years. We started the process over 12 months ago. It's a very long process to complete one of these assessments because there's a lot of data, there's a lot of areas, and by expanding the scope, there's a lot more resources required to be put into it to develop what has been published today. So yeah, usually it's once every 4 years. In the interim, we do revise it internally. Sometimes those findings are not published if they're not significant enough.
I'm asking you a very big question, but what are the main findings from this? What's changed since the 2020 report?
There hasn't been many changes to the risk landscape. Probably the main change is the incorporation of more digital type activities, such as virtual asset related activities. A lot of the businesses nowadays are more digitalized, so there's a lot more cyber fraud related to it, and obviously there's a cyber risk associated to those things. Even traditional financial services like banking have more of a digital angle nowadays, and obviously there's a greater risk in that respect. But in terms of the activities and the market profile of Gibraltar, more or less the risks are aligned to what could be seen in 2020.
Okay. So you're talking about the high-tech things that are changing and the ever-changing landscape of what's happening with cryptocurrencies and digital assets and so on. But there's also, I imagine, the low-tech risk still exists. Is that changing with a potentially open frontier? Does that raise alarm bells for you in some way?
It will definitely. There was a significant change in the risk profile because of Brexit. Obviously, the landscape changed at the time. The type of activities, the cross-border transactions and businesses changed because of leaving the EU. With the treaty, we expect that again to change probably into something more similar to what was historically there. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, the details of the treaty agreement. And one of the notes we do make within the National Risk Assessment is that once that agreement is concluded, we will have to revisit probably areas.
Very briefly, just before we leave you, a new website or the portal on the government website will now allow people to quickly check and see what their risk to exposure and so on is. So this is something that you're encouraging all potential stakeholders to do?
Exactly. So we found that there was a need to have a centralized hub where government was able to publish not only guidance and the NRAs and official documentation, but also anything new happening. So it will be developing. At the moment, it's very basic with some generic information, but it will be developing with time as things evolve.